Welcome back to the GOAT sessions, my friends. If you see me looking over here in this direction, it's because I have two monitors now. So I have one here, this is my laptop, and then I have one here, this is the monitor here. So it's been a while since I've been on here, since April, I think. Yeah, April. It's been a while. As you can see, I cut the hair. Trimmed up too. Another better style, in my opinion, than the tank tops I usually wore in my previous episodes. So that's cool. It's good now. I'm going to continue on the same path I did then. Announcements. I'm going to be busy, very busy for the next few months because of school and stuff. Let's just say I'm pursuing a dream of mine, and I finally did it. I finally got in. So now I just got to do well in school. That's all I got to say on that. Besides that, philosophically speaking, learning a lot more about abstract concepts like love and things of that nature through other books on, for example, revolution, what it means to riot, what does it mean politically to have a common man among the mass, and things like that. Pretty much what I've expanded on before in previous talks, but we'll get into all the juicy stuff eventually. I want to continue on the Shortness of Life by Lucius Seneca, and this is the James Harris edition. All right. We spoke about chapter 1 last time in the last video. I just wanted to read to you chapter 2 and provide a little food for thought, something to think about. And this is, again, on the shortness of life. So therefore, Seneca delves in the second chapter, I believe, about people complaining about how time works. And you'll see this is a common theme, but he addresses each instance of it in a different way, in a different context. And these are the people during the times of Rome that complained about such things like these. Seneca really did set himself apart from other people in the way that he thought and the way that he approached the subject of time. So let's dive right in. I'll read. Should have got a glass of water or like a bottle or something. This is going to be a while. Okay. Why do we complain about the nature of time? Life, if you know how to use it, is long. But one man is possessed by an insatiable desire for success and power, another by tiresome devotion to tasks that are useless. One man is seeking escape through drugs and alcohol, another is paralyzed by laziness. One man is exhausted by an ambition that always hangs upon the opinions of others. Another, led by marketing and greed of the companies, goes to great lengths in hope of gaining status. Some are tormented by a passion for conflict and are always either bent upon inflicting danger to others or concerned about their own. And there are some who are worn out by voluntary servitude of employers who offer no real rewards. Many are kept busy either in the pursuit of other men's fortunes or complaining about their own. Many, following no fixed aim, shifting, inconstant, and dissatisfied, are plunged by their indecisiveness into plans that are ever new. Some have no fixed principle by which to direct their course. But fate takes them unaware while they are completely oblivious. This happens so certainly that I cannot doubt the truth of greatest of poets, who state that the part of life we really live is small. All the rest of existence is not life, but merely time. Vices surround us on every side, and they do not permit us to rise or open our eyes to the truth, but they keep us down once they have overwhelmed us and chain us to lust. Their victims are never allowed to return to their true selves. If ever they have a chance to find a release, like the waters of the deep sea, which continue to heave even after the storm has passed, they are tossed about, and no rest from their lust is allowed. Look at those whose prosperity men wish to have. They are already blessed with much, and do not realize, to many, being rich is a burden. How many of the richest struggle to display their powers? How many are lifeless from constant pleasures? How many successful people are surrounded and offered no freedom? In short, run through the list of all these men, from the lowest to the highest. This man desires a supporter. This one gives support. That one is on trial. That one defends him. That one gives the sentence. No one claims themselves, because in this society everyone acts for the sake of another. Ask about the famous, whose names are known by heart, and you will see that these are the marks that distinguish them. A cultivates B, and B cultivates C. No one is his own master. And then certain men show the most senseless behavior, complaining about the position of the rich when they contribute to their creation. No one can complain about the pride of another when he himself has no time to attend to himself. After all, no matter who you are, a great man will sometimes look toward you, even if his face is insolent. Even if he does condescend listening to your words, he still permits you to appear at his side. But you never care to look upon yourself, to listen to yourself. There is no reason, then, to complain about anyone's behavior if you cannot endure your own. Good stuff. Really good stuff. When Seneca talks about complaining, as all of us do, about the nature of time, the first thing he details, you'll see here, is that he cites a multitude of examples regarding different types of people in life. You have the people who are very ambitious, they have desires, and they chase them, and they get overwhelmed by their desires. And you have people who are lazy, people who are very complacent, or they're simply just okay with the circumstances that surround them and the decisions that they have made, and they lead a very lethargic life, and that's their life. So all these different types of people are living in time, right? There are two plus types of people, like I said, a multitude, so 2 plus types of people living through time, right? And there's even people who are people pleasers, people who please other people for the sake of getting that gratification to themselves, that they're appeasing society. And there are people who are not people pleasers, that do everything for themselves, and yet they still don't receive any satisfaction. People who do everything for their employers sound very similar to today's world, where you're just working for the man. You know, you're not really making any money, but they're making money above you, and that kind of sucks. So you want to find a better job where you can make a little bit more money and are in a better work environment. It's the same thing back then, right? And that's a very big part that I notice here, is that, and there are some who are worn out by voluntary servitude of employees who offer no real rewards. Many are kept busy either in their pursuit of other men's fortunes or complaining about their own. It's a big thing. Do not complain about what you have, because any day you could lose it. It's not promised. So be happy for what you have and don't complain about it. For there's always someone who's worse off than you. Always. It doesn't have to be a third world country. It doesn't have to be something so exacerbated and exaggerated in that sense. It could just be someone in your hometown or in your county. There's always someone nearby, at least, that is living poorer than you, and in a poorer state than you, is a better way to put it. But and then he talks about people with these types of lives. They really don't have a fixed principle sometimes. Even people who are very ambitious don't have a fixed principle, because they burn themselves out. They burn themselves out for the sake of what they want. But there must be a fixed principle in order to live life, at least, I wouldn't say correctly, because there's no correct way to live life, because there's so many paths, but an optimal way to live life. Like optimal, which really it is. Has to be. A fixed principle that is optimal to live life. Both sides must need to use it in order to use the most of their time. Because in the next point, he does state here, and I do agree, all the rest of existence is not life, merely time. Vices surround us on every side, and they do not permit us to rise or open our eyes to the truth, but they keep us down once they have overwhelmed us and chain us to lust. A lot of the vices and things that you succumb to in life, and a lot of these perversions and eccentric behaviors that you develop that aren't really healthy, Seneca argues that you're not really living at those moments. You're just overwhelmed by vices, and that's a. Back then, you have to understand, this is Rome. This is 2,000 years ago, roughly. That is an insane accusation to make. That if you are struggling due to your vices, due to your sins, your shortcomings, whatever that may be, that you are not living life. That you're merely just passing time. That is wild to say. So I do commend him for even writing that. It shows how intelligent he was for the man of his time. So, their victims are never allowed to return to their true selves. If ever they have a chance to find a release, like the waters of the deep sea, which continue to heave even after the storm has passed, they are tossed about, and no rest from their lust is allowed. So even in nature, the sea is able to heave and toss about the waves even after the storm has passed. It's able to, like in a cathartic way, let that out. But the vices don't let you do that. The vices contain you. They don't let you heave and go through the motions like that and just detox. They strangle you. And they chain you to lust. That's a very specific phrase he uses. They chain you to lust. A very wild thing. I don't know. I'm looking outside. I see the nice lights in the dark sky. It looks really cool from this end. But yeah, they chain you to lust. I guess they saw lust as one of the biggest sins to... I don't want to say sins, but definitely a vice. Because women were available everywhere. I don't know if prostitution was a thing. It probably was. I don't know if it was legal. That's the correct way I meant to say that. But, yeah. Well, it's a lust for anything. You just fall in love with it. You become erotically in love with the idea of being enraptured by these things. And people don't really know what they're talking about. Like alcohol. Like he mentions alcoholism too. Like that's like a lust of greed, a lust of laziness, a lust for success and power, or maybe a lust of pursuing other men's fortunes, or a lust for complaining about your own. It's powerful. It's powerful verbiage. It really is. That's what I think, at least, when I read this. And then he goes into another big accusation for the time. It's like, look at those whose prosperity men wish to have. They are already blessed with much and do not realize, to many, being rich is a burden. That's true. I do believe it. It's more responsibilities and duty stacked upon you. You have to work doubly, triply, if not more, hard than someone who's not rich, because now you have a responsibility to do something with that money. Not only to sustain yourself, and have sustenance in the form of food, water, electricity, housing. If you have a family, you have to additionally provide. And if you have a kind soul, you can, donate the money, have a charity, whatever you want to do if you're rich, or maybe you want to put in a foundation. Like, the richer you are, the more of a burden it is. Because when you're in the middle class or poor, like today, at least you can work up the money to get what you want. But when you're rich, it's like everything is at your fingertips. You can pretty much buy anything the heart desires. So you can immediately go to the extreme and get the most extreme things and get the most satisfaction as soon as possible. But then, unlike the middle class and the poor, you've already reached that point of self-satisfaction so quick that it's done. The feeling is gone. It's already passed in the wind. The problem with that is that it ends so quickly. So that's why being rich is a burden. You have to be careful with how you spend your time and your money. That doesn't mean being rich is necessarily wow, I can't even talk. It doesn't mean that being rich is a financial or a monetary issue. Doesn't have to regard money per se. It can regard time, like you're rich of time, rich of resources. The more that you have, the more it is demanded of you, because then people see that, and you see that too. You understand the demand. What to do with what you have will always be the hardest question. It really will be for someone who owns a lot of things, who has the ability to own a lot of things. And what do you do? What do you do with that? Then your moral compass comes into play. Do I do this thing? Do I do that thing? How do I approach this? Just food for thought. And then let's see here. How many are lifeless from constant pleasures? Exactly. You like I said, you reach satisfaction so quick. There's no point to live anymore because you've already everything. You already have everything. How many successful people are surrounded and offered no freedom? All right, in short, run through the list of all these men from the lowest to the highest. This man desires a supporter. This one gives support. That one is on trial. That one defends him. That one gives the sentence. No one claims himself. That's the next point. Solid. Seneca makes a really good tie-in here, is that because being rich is a burden, everyone needs, because being rich is a burden, I don't know how, the way he kind of weaves through this is odd to me, because then he says, he goes from being as rich as a burden because you become lifeless from constant pleasure, but also you have to know that you didn't get rich by yourself, that there was always someone there. So even if you were to get rich and be on top and do something with your life, you can't just say that you did it all by yourself. A cultivates B, B cultivates C, hence that's why he says that. Everyone acts for the sake of another in a society. That's one of the reasons why society works. So therefore, you can never, ever say that you did anything completely on your own, because there was always another party working in the background, either in your favor or against you, or was indifferent and helped you anyway. Something, whether it be your parents, your friends, a stranger, co-workers, your director, your supervisor, whatever that may be. God as you know it, another spiritual power you believe in. It's anything. So you can never say you own everything, or you own your decisions, or you own your thoughts, or you own your outcomes. It's impossible. It's impossible. No one is his own master. And then he points out the most senseless behavior that he believes is complaining about the position of the rich when they contribute to their creation. You complain about people who are higher status than you, as you perceive, but yet, you don't realize that you actively contribute to your life, your outcome in life. It's not like you ended up where you are today and you couldn't do anything about it. You do have some say in your life to where you end up. Origins do have a say. Where you come from does have a say. And how you're brought up, for sure, plays a big part, actually, psychologically speaking. However, where you grow up in the world does not cement you in said part of the world. It shouldn't cement your mentality to be a certain way. It shouldn't cement your behavior to act a certain way. It shouldn't cement your affect, meaning your emotions, to feel a certain way. When you're young, you have a lot of plasticity, and you have that for a while, until your 20s and 30s. And even then, you don't go completely rigid. The brain still has plasticity. So your emotions and your behavior and your thoughts, they're all malleable at that age. Hence why kids are so gullible and they can be taught a variety of things. You teach a kid one thing and he'll be a savant at it if he keeps working at it. And also, if you lie to a kid, he'll believe it, because he doesn't know what that really means yet. So you got to be careful. You can have control of your life. And ultimately what happens in your life is your own doing, not anybody else's. So do not complain about others when you contribute to your own creation. If you want to complain, be better than others then. If you want to complain about them, fine, but be better. Know that you contribute to yourself in your own life. No one can complain about the pride of another when he himself has no time to attend to himself, right? You can't say that someone else has lower self-esteem. You can't criticize, let's put this way. You can't criticize someone for having higher self-esteem or lower self-esteem if you have no time to gauge your own. How dare they assess themselves and be so full of themselves or not full of themselves? How disrespectful they are to themselves if you think that way, and yet you have no time to assess yourself. It's like the pot calling the kettle black. Come on. It's ironic that you call someone out for exploring themselves and their identity and who they think they are. They're trying to understand themselves, and yet you don't try to understand at all. Come on. And then also he makes a very good point here. After all, no matter who you are, a great man will sometimes look toward you, even if his face is insolent. Even a good man, and I mean, he says a great man, not even a good man. He'll look toward you. He'll engage with you. He'll acknowledge your existence, even if he looks insolent. Like an insolent bastard in that sense. Like someone who's has disdain for you, like does not like you. A great man, even though he doesn't like you, will still acknowledge you. Even if he does condescend listening to your words, he still permits you to appear at his side. That's a great man. He puts that aside. He puts his disagreements and his disgruntled opposition towards you aside to be with you. But you never care to look upon yourself, to listen to yourself, because some people are just senseless like that. They say things and they don't really understand what they're saying, and they don't really look at themselves. They're not aware. Therefore, there's no reason then to complain about anyone's behavior if you cannot endure your own. And some people don't even know that they're sick of themselves. They live very angry lives. They're either very depressed, and there's no shame in it, in my opinion, if you don't know, because you're not aware of it. You have to be made aware of it. If you're made aware of it and you still do it, then I think there definitely is some shame involved. But some people are depressed. Some people are fearful. They're disgusted by everything. They're angry towards everything. Some people are very joyful. And yet all of these can involve delusion. And because they can involve delusion, the problem is they cannot complain. If you're susceptible to that delusion, you cannot complain about someone else's behaviors. If you can't endure, like truly endure, with knowing that you have that said thing, and then you put it in effect and you say, okay, how do I really sound here? What am I trying to say? What is coming out of my mouth? What am I thinking here? How am I acting here in this situation? If you cannot endure yourself, then you have no right to talk about other people and what they're saying, and what they're doing. The world would be, in my opinion, the world would be a much better place if that were the case. Because people like to talk about other people and how what the other person doing is wrong, what they're doing is right, what they're doing it doesn't matter, or it does matter. Look at yourself. Look at yourself absent of pride, absent of low self-esteem, absent of respect, devoid of anything. Just look at yourself as a holistic person and tell me, can you endure yourself? Can you look at yourself and honestly say, I have nothing to complain about? If you have something to complain about yourself, then don't complain about others. Don't be so critical of others to the point where it degrades them if you're not willing to do the same to yourself. A lot of people don't like to look in the mirror. And listen, I'm not trying to chastise other people. I get it. It's hypocritical. I do the same thing every day. I'm human just like the rest of everyone here on earth. But we have to realize that we can't be so judgmental of people if we are not also judgmental toward ourselves. I feel like we need to be judgmental. That's a good thing. To cast judgment is a good thing, in my opinion. Right? We need to judge. We need to be able to discern things in life. Judging and discerning and figuring out, perceiving, understanding things. That all ties in together. So judging is a good thing inherently, in my opinion. Now, chastising, berating, criticizing, that's an advanced form of judging that I don't believe that would work, because there's animosity towards it. There's characteristically in those words, there's an opposition. It has to be. If you criticize someone, you're actively dethroning them from their position. You're saying, this is wrong, that's wrong. I don't know why you would think like that. And you treat them like they're a child. However, I think judging is good. Judging is a good thing. Because you get to judge character. You need to judge things in life. You must judge things in life. Or else you cannot see if they are true or false. You cannot see if they really weigh with the evidence, or if they have no proof, no sustenance to them. We judge things every day. That's how we get through the day. Am I going to get through this red light? Is it going to turn green yet? Is it going to turn red yet? Okay, what is she going to say to me? She's probably going to talk about the same records today at work, so I probably have to get that done later. Yes, we judge. Probability and judging. Human beings do that every day. And that is a good thing. That's how we function. It's just when it's taken to its extremes, it becomes very, very volatile. And we see that also, too, every day, unfortunately. But that's the second chapter. That's just Seneca talking about why do we complain about the nature of time. when people are all, they're already partaking in things that, are really just merely just the passing of time. People who are very ambitious, people who are very lazy, people who are working for other people and working for other people's rewards, and people who never take a chance to look at themselves. People are doing all different kinds of things in life, their careers, focusing on themselves even, which is a good thing, which is the whole point. You do look at yourself. But some people look at themselves in a very fake way, or is not genuine, and so they also distract from themselves. They cast delusion upon themselves, and they hence shoot themselves in the foot, so to speak. And then people think, oh, well, it's better. And at the end of the day, comparison will ultimately lead to a comparison from high and below. So people say, why is that person rich and not me? And it's like, well, you do understand everything has its consequences, and being rich is a burden, as well as being poor. Being rich has its burdens. So don't be so picky. Don't say I'd rather be rich and I complain that other people are rich. It comes with the good and it comes with the bad. So be careful what you wish for. And if you cannot stand yourself and complain about other people, you need to look at yourself in the mirror for a while. I've done that. It sucks. It utterly sucks. Because then you become very vulnerable, and no human wants to be vulnerable to self-judgment and becoming self-aware. People like to become self-aware. It's a positive connotation in our society that you should become aware of yourself and your surroundings. And that it is a good thing, because it defends you, and it primes you for defense and offense in life. You know when to defend yourself. You know when to conduct an offense, right? Whether in social situations or physical altercations, whatever that may be, maybe work politics. You need to become socially aware and self-aware. However, becoming self-aware of yourself also has its downsides, is that you see the blemishes. And we don't like to see the blemishes. We really don't. And sometimes we become too fixated on them, and we cause more blemishes, and we harm ourselves without even knowing it. So that can really be, I don't know if I'd say solved, but slightly ameliorated. Good word, by the way. Ameliorated by not complaining about the nature of time. Because it gives us an excuse, and there are no excuses. We must live our lives, do the best we can, prosper, hopefully. And if not, we pass on what we know to our fellow neighbors and people we pass by in our life. So, that's all I have to say. Nothing much. It's a good chapter. Good day, too. My face really shines from this view, but it's cool. But I hope you guys are doing well. I'm sorry I haven't posted any videos. It's been a while. A lot of changes. A lot of changes in life. But, yeah. So I'll leave with that. It's good. It's all good. We're in July. I can't believe it. We're in July. It's 2024. Almost to the midpoint of the 2020s, so let's see how this goes. This is gonna be an interesting decade. All right, guys. Signing off. I'm gonna go to bed because the boy's tired. All right. Have a good night, and peace out to the GOAT sessions. Bye bye.